Hey everybody, it's Sharmel. Welcome back to Lux Lux Lifestyle. Today I am here with another chit chat video, so let's get right into it.
As the sun shines in all of my glory, my flaws don't look so bad at all. What was I so afraid of?
So if you watched my previous chit chat, get ready with me. I spoke about how I've been going through this transition phase and how I'm transitioning into a new level in my life. And I spoke a lot about getting in alignment. Many of you related to the video and things like that. And a lot of us, we're all kind of in this phase of just wanting more out of our life, wanting to be more content, wanting to live like a full life, reach our full potential and capacity. And so as I've been going through this process, something I've noticed a lot within the last year or so is that a lot of us are really emotional. A lot of us are too sensitive, myself included. This is something that it's a constant work in progress for me. A lot of times we think we can't achieve our ideal self, and the reality is that a lot of the times we have more than what we need. We are overly qualified to reach our goals, but our emotions are holding us back. So about 3 years ago, I think it was like 2018, I went to this emotional intelligence seminar, and prior to going, I had very little expectations about the seminar. Really didn't know what it was going to be about. My friend invited me. I didn't have nothing to do, so I was like, okay, I'll go. And during this seminar, the speaker said something that I honestly hold on to till this day. And so he said the phrase, when emotions are high, logic is low. And this was the first time I had ever heard that phrase. But from that point on, it really just made me be more aware of how I respond in situations. Am I responding out of emotion, or am I responding out of logic? When you just think about your day-to-day life, it could be your job that you've been on for years. You know how to do your job, you know how to execute it well. But let that one coworker say something to you that irritates you. Let your boss do something that pisses you off, and all of a sudden, this same job that you do every day, you're making amateur mistakes that if you were operating in your logical mind that you wouldn't do. But since you've allowed these people to get under your skin and mess with your feelings, now you start operating out of emotion. And you know, it's something that we all do all the time. Life is full of unexpected events. Life is full of inconveniences. And I am not saying that you don't acknowledge your feelings. I am not saying that you suppress your feelings. But what I personally try to practice is that when inconveniences come up, I'm either going to allow myself to be in my feelings, or I'm going to try to find a solution. But I can't do both of them at the same time. So depending on what it is, if I want to sulk, if I want to be angry, if I want to be mad, if I want to be sad, I allow myself to sit in those feelings and just acknowledge my feelings. And once I feel like I've reached a point where I'm okay, then I try to find a solution. Depending on if it's an emergency or if it's something that's more time sensitive, then I have to tell myself, cut it off. Can't be in your feelings right now. Right now you need to find a solution to fix the problem. And like I said, when it comes to leveling up, when it comes to being the best version of yourself, your emotions and being able to control them is going to be key. So I have like 3 or 4 talking points that I want to go through right now. And yeah, just listen to them and see if you're overly sensitive, and to see if your emotions are truly holding you back from reaching your ideal self. All right, so the first way your emotions are potentially holding you back is in your expectations. As I mature and just as I develop, I realize that a lot of the times I hurt my feelings more than other people hurt my feelings. And a lot of times that is done through my expectations. So first and foremost, there's nothing wrong with expectations. I feel like it's a natural emotion. However, what happens is that a lot of us, we put all of these expectations on certain experiences. We put these expectations on certain goals. We put these expectations, we all have all these different expectations. And a lot of the times we don't really take into account everything that comes with the process of that experience, everything that comes with the process of achieving that goal. And so as soon as we run into our first hiccup, we start doubting the process. And some of us, we just quit the process. I know I have things where it's like I'm really excited about it in the beginning because I have put so much emotion and excitement in this expectation, and as soon as the process didn't meet that expectation, I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. And it could have been something that was for me, but I didn't see the process through because I relied on my emotion. This is something you also see happen a lot in relationships, whether it's someone in your family, whether it's a romantic partner, whether it's a friendship. A lot of the times we put certain expectations on our loved ones that we never actually communicate to them. You know, you have times where you may be having a bad day and you go to this loved one and you vent and you just expect them to console you with what you need in that moment. And when they don't help you the way that you expected them to, you automatically put the blame on them. And honestly, it's unfair to our loved ones. For one, they're not mind readers. You cannot expect someone to respond a certain way that you never verbally communicated to them. It's just unreasonable and it's unfair. There's times where you're going to need love in a situation. There's times where you want to find a solution, and then there's times where you just want to vent. But if you don't clearly communicate to that person what you need in that moment, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to hurt your own feelings because of what you lack to do. And then the last thing, a lot of our loved ones, they are not equipped to handle our problems in the way that we need them to. And once I let go of that expectation, I feel like my relationships got better with everybody, friends, family, because I no longer was placing that burden on them, and I wasn't placing that burden on our relationship for them to bring me some sort of fulfillment, for them to solve my problem. Instead of placing that expectation on them, I started looking for resources to actually help me solve my problems from people who are actually equipped to help me with my problems. If you feel like you're always constantly in situations where you're being disappointed, you have to take a good look at the entire picture and adjust your expectations and what you're expecting from people and the expectations that you place on the process. And the next area where your emotions are potentially holding you back is in your inability to take constructive criticism. So, before we get into this talking point, let me just say, you do not have to take advice from everyone. Obviously, everyone does not have your best interest at heart, but that's when discernment comes in. So whenever you're taking advice, seeking advice, anything like that, obviously use your discernment in how this information is being relayed to you. However, with that being said, I feel like a lot of people reject beneficial, constructive criticism simply based on how they feel about the person that's telling it to them. Now, for me personally, I've just kind of reached a point in my life. I just want to learn from whoever. It doesn't matter who's saying it. If I see something, if I hear something that's beneficial to my life and to my growth, then I accept it. I welcome it in. It doesn't matter who says it. Doesn't matter my relationship with that person. Doesn't matter how they said it. I try to base it on, if it's beneficial, it's beneficial. If it's not, it's not. I feel like when you've reached a point where your main goal is to grow, then it makes accepting criticism a lot easier. There's no growth, there's no progression without any resistance. Something as simple as exercising, getting in shape, building muscles. If you are out of shape, naturally, once you start to do those exercises, there's going to be a level of resistance. But without that resistance, you won't build your muscle. And it's the same principle with life in general. If you want to be better, if you want to grow, you're going to be met with resistance. You're going to be met with things that don't necessarily feel good to you. But if it's beneficial and if it helps you in the long run, then you have to see the process through. And then the way that I personally try to deal with criticism is that I try to keep my goal at the forefront. So regardless of who's saying it, regardless of how they said it, regardless of how it made me feel, if what they said lines up with my goal, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter who the person was. It doesn't matter what kind of emotion it triggered in me. If the advice isn't in alignment with accomplishing my goal, then that's all that matters. You see this a lot on social media, where if there's a certain celebrity that people don't like, the celebrity could say something that's factual, but because they don't like this person, they automatically discredit them. And it's crazy because we are in a time where people are easily swayed based on how they feel, regardless of if it's true or not. Once you start operating from a place where you discredit the truth simply based off your feelings, like, that's not a good place to be in. I just try to keep everything, if it's true, it's true. If it's beneficial to my growth, it's beneficial, and I just leave it there. And then kind of piggybacking off of that point of constructive criticism, another area where people are being held back in their emotions is their inability to agree to disagree. Y'all, you have to learn how to let stuff go. A lot of people have such a hard time agreeing to disagree. And I have my theories about this. So first of all, learning how to agree to disagree is such a great asset. It's going to save you a lot of headache. It's going to save you a lot of over explaining, and it's just going to bring you a certain level of peace in your life when you don't feel the need to argue a person down for them to see things your way. One reason I feel like people have a hard time agreeing to disagree is because, for one, they don't believe in what they stand on. I feel like a lot of the times when you see people really fight hard to be right, they fight hard to sway that person over, is because they need reinforcement. They need somebody to reaffirm what they're saying is true. But if you honestly, truly believe what you stand on, then it doesn't matter who agrees with it or not. And so once you get to that point, it's like, well, this is what I believe, so I'm not going to continue to argue with you. We're just going to have to agree to disagree. It's just like if somebody came up to you and called you a different name. Like if somebody approached me right now and was like, oh, hey, Rebecca. Initially, I might entertain it a little bit, and I'm going to be like, oh, no, sorry, you have the wrong person. I'm not Rebecca. And then if they insist, no, you are Rebecca, I may get a little firm on my stance, and I'm going to say, no, I'm not Rebecca, I'm Sharmel. And then anything after that, I'm not going to continue to go back and forth, because I know I'm Sharmel. I don't need to prove that to anybody. I know it to be true. You're kind of teeter-tottering and you don't believe in what you stand on, then it's so easily to get pulled into conversations and arguments and debates to try to sway that other person over. And it's unnecessary. I personally hate arguing. I do not like arguing with people. It's annoying. It drains your energy. It's low vibrational. Like, any word that you could think of that is the opposite of peace, that's what arguing is to me. And I don't have time for it. Like, I'm gonna entertain it for a little bit to get my point across, but if it gets to the point where we clearly have two different point of views, two different stances on the issue, then we're gonna have to agree to disagree. Just like 1 + 3 = 4, 2 + 2 = 4, 4 + 0 = 4. They're all right. So you be right on your 1 + 3 = 4, and I can be right on my 2 + 2 = 4. What gets people caught up is that I seen this on an episode of Iyanla Fix My Life. I forgot what the storyline was, but she basically said to one of her guests, do you want to have peace or do you want to be right? And the reality is that more people want to be right than they actually want peace, than they actually want resolution. They just want to be right. And when you spend more energy in being right than just allowing the growth process to happen, then you're doing yourself a disservice. If you think about the wisest person that you know, there was levels where they had to be a student. There were points in time where they didn't know anything. They were wrong a lot of times before they arrived to this high position of being so wise. And I think that's gonna be it for this video. I think I touched on everything that I wanted to say. Like most of my videos, these videos aren't meant to shame anyone. A lot of things that I talk about in my videos are things that I am currently actively working on. And so yes, when it comes to leveling up, when it comes to getting in alignment, you always want to be mindful of your emotions. Be mindful of how you respond to situations. And remember to keep your goal at the forefront. If your true goal is to become a better version of yourself, then lead with that and be willing to accept the process of what it takes to reaching that. So again, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Snatched by Sharmel, and I will see you all in my next video.